Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on the Real Estate Podcast. I'm Todd Sumney, the Chief Industry Officer for HomeSmart.
And I'm Rich LaRue, Vice President of Corporate Brokerages for the Western Region for HomeSmart, as well as the designated broker for the Phoenix area.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if I can get all of that out of my mouth, we're getting off to a good start here. But we've got a great program today.
We do. You're listening to the Real Estate Podcast. Everything that we do on this podcast is about helping you agents learn how to serve your clients better and how to grow your businesses and make the right decisions about where you invest your time, where you put your resources, what tactics you should use to move the needle the most for you, and which tactics move the needle the farthest, the fastest, the quickest, right? With the least amount of effort. But at the end of the day, it's about serving your customers and reaching more customers and serving more customers. And if you do that, then your business naturally grows. And our guest with us today is one of my longtime colleagues in the industry, Rich, one of your longtime colleagues, a longtime supporter of HomeSmart. And their company has grown right alongside ours. But why they've grown is because agents love what they have to offer, and it really results in more transactions and helping them grow their business. So without any further ado, we'd like to welcome Eleni Sommerschield from Wise Agent. So Eleni, thank you for being here with us today.
Welcome.
Thanks, Todd. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you know, we were at a conference last week. I saw Brandon Wise, the founder of Wise Agent, and I think a great place to start is the story of how Wise Agent came about. Brandon was a real estate agent, right?
Yeah, he was. He was an agent here in the Valley, in the Phoenix area, and this was 20 some odd years ago. He did not have a system. There was back then there was one CRM that was available to realtors, and that was something that you had to install with like a floppy disk drive, and you had to have a laptop, carry schlep that around with you all over the place. His best friend back then and currently, and our CTO went to a football game. This is like kind of, and I'll do a little quick recap of it, but the story's on our website too. Had gone to a football game and literally drew out, like engineered the Wise Agent on a napkin, on a beer napkin during a Cardinals game. And basically, Brandon was just like, I need something that's going to be internet based, that I can just, I can have it on my, back then it was Blackberries and whatnot. So have it on my phone, and I can look at it and update notes. And when I talk to people, or when I go to their house and, do a preview or a showing or have an open house and whatnot. And so kind of evolved from that one beer napkin and that one idea to here we are 21 years later. And it's a Wise Agent it's a big platform. It's a big platform.
It is.
And yeah.
And it's so much of it is automated now,
yes.
And it is automated so it's even more efficient and easier. And I laugh at your story a little bit because I believe that the best products in the industry, they come out of the need of an agent and then they say, well, let's go create it because it doesn't exist. And those end up being the best products.
That's right.
That everybody uses.
Yeah, born from a beer napkin.
I mean, and it's a similar story to HomeSmart, right? That's what
I'm not too sure about the beer napkin and Matt, but I mean, it is the same idea.
Well, it's the same idea.
Yeah.
He needed something that didn't exist, so let's go build it.
Yeah.
And then you can also build it the way it should be, the way you want it. But I guess, the big thing we want to talk about today is just, how Brandon and then other agents use technology to grow their business. That's what this is really about, is how agents can grow their business and take their business to the next level using the right technology.
Yeah. And I think, so there's a couple of things. One, I'm blessed and fortunate to travel the country. I travel almost as much as you, Todd. You travel a little bit more than me, I think. But I travel around the country, and I'm talking to agents and brokers and team leads and listening to what they are going through, some of their successes, some of their struggles. And that I love hearing those things, because the successes, that kind of drives us to continue to build. And then their struggles is the thing that we build towards. And
Right.
So it's kind of our path. And I love that. Recently I was speaking to a newer agent, and they were kind of of telling me how they started during the pandemic and literally got licensed March of 2020. And we're like,
Oh, wow.
okay, I have no office to go into. I have no one to like physically see or do any work with and kind of get mentored or have any guidance on. And what this person did, what this agent did, was they were listening to our webinar series. They were listening to podcasts. They were, just kind of going on some of the Facebook groups and getting some ideas on what to do. And so I host a podcast myself as well on how you can take Wise Agent and build your business with that. It's called Becoming a Wise Agent. And he started listening to the podcast, and back then when we started as well, because we were grounded from traveling and whatnot. And what he did was he was just following our tips and our best practices, which were, keep accurate and complete notes of the conversations that you're having with people. It's really important to take those notes then and then do something with it. So I always tell people, like, put them in categories based on the conversations you're having, right? So you need to know, like, who's an empty nester or close to being an empty nester, right? Who has extended family that might be living with them, right? There's sometimes it's multi-generational. It could even be like, family that comes in from out of the country to study here, they would be abroad or whatnot. Whatever the situation may be for your clients, for your database, make sure that you're putting them in those right categories. Include hobbies, because those are things that are going to give you some context on what conversation you're going to have with them. Because you can't always pick up the phone and say, hey, Todd, hey, Rich, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to sell? It can't always be that conversation, especially if you're going to be doing it consistently, where you're having a conversation with your clients every month. I mean, you can't keep asking, like, so Todd, now are you going to buy a house?
Right.
It has to be more than just about the transaction. Mm-hmm. It's about building that relationship and asking about the family, asking about their hobbies and what they do outside of buying a property from you, which is obviously quite important to how you earn a living. But that's how you make money, is by going through those transactions. The way to get to that transaction is to build those relationships and forge those friendships into that trust and that likeness that they get from you and that information that you provide. And then you go on and you add that into your CRM so you can refer back to it. Right. The other thing that, this realtor had talked to me about recently was that because when you're a new agent, you've not gone through a transaction, you might not even have hosted an open house, you might not have a lot of, kind of experience behind you. And so what we've talked about in the past, what I tell people is, like, take your experience from your previous career. Take your experience from what you used to do, right? So you might not have experience in selling homes or hosting open houses, but it could even be, and maybe you have zero experience in anything. Maybe you're straight out of high school or, college or whatnot, and you're dipping into this. Well, you know what? You take CE classes in order to get licensed. You go to real estate school. So talk about the education, the knowledge that you have, post about that on social media. Leveraging that is something that's really important, and just leveraging the knowledge and experience that you have, even if it's just about other, like, ancillary things that happen to be your knowledge in real estate. Maybe you are just listening to, what's happening in the market, knowing the numbers and hearing maybe Todd, yours or Rich's analysis of what's happening in the market, and then kind of regurgitating that and just relaying that to your audience, to your database. Those are ways to do that. And you have to do that in a way that it's not just going to be you write out this long email of what's happening in the market and you send it out to one person, or worse, you BCC people in there. And then you don't get any of the analytics. You have to have a system where you can write out a nice message, make it look beautiful, because visual content looks, when something is visually appealing, people are going to read it, or at least scan it thoroughly.
Right.
and then send that out to the masses and do that all in a way where it's affordable and you're not breaking the bank.
Right.
Because as a new agent, you're not having those transactions to be able to afford things.
And then at some point you're connecting it to the actual product via a web page or via listings,
Right.
or via something where you're marrying the relationship with the need, because the need at some point becomes looking for a home in an area, and so fast forward real quick, 3 years. So it was COVID 2020. 3 years from now, that agent, what's their business like today?
Yeah. I was shocked when he said this to me. I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me. His first year, he did 3 transactions. His second year, he had 8 transactions. Now his third year, he's already, at the halfway point. This was kind of end of June, or end of May. I'd spoken to him. He was already done he had already completed 12 transactions at that point. And
Wow.
In a more difficult market.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
Right.
and it is. I mean, because the first couple of years you're like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this.
Right.
And then interest rates do what they do. Buyers and sellers are doing what they're doing. So it's sometimes it doesn't, it has to be a formula that can be replicated no matter what is happening in the market. You have to keep that in mind, is that it doesn't matter what the interest rates are doing. You still have to keep your message, hey, I'm the person that you need to call when you're interested in buying or selling.
Right.
So what I hear you describing is, and you mentioned this earlier, you said, we're making a living doing this. And what I heard you describe was, let's go a little bit further with this. And instead of being so transactional, going from one transaction to another, is we're building a life, we're building a business, and we are it's just so much more than being a one deal at a time or one transaction at a time agent.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
because it's built on relationships.
Because it's built on relationships.
It's built on relationship, and
Yeah.
that's
We sound like a broken record, don't we?
We do, but it comes up. I mean, and I smile when I hear Eleni describe his process, because you've heard from past podcasts, you got to build something, then you have to, organize it, then you have to expand it, add people into it, then you got to engage people. And if you do that, it becomes this like engine, a car engine that's running at 2,500 RPMs, and it amps up to 3,500. It goes, keeps speeding up, and that's what happens with your business. But it's being built on a relationship standpoint and a serving standpoint, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
And speaking of that, it just came to me when you were saying like how you amp it up. I mean, you do go from, maybe obviously from being a new agent, and then you gain more of that experience. And then I always get that question, like, so what's next? And, how do I go from this solo agent that's kind of, now I kind of have an understanding of what's happening and what I should be doing, and I'm getting some success in it, to then replicating that. And, I have a team lead out in Northern California, and what he has done has been truly amazing. He went from a team of having 25 agents, and this was just as of like last year. He had 25 agents on his team, and this is in Northern California, which the market is a little bit different than here in Phoenix, but he's expanded over the course of a year to over 100 people on his team, by simply having like mentoring calls every week. And the one thing that he uses the most, I mean, he uses Wise Agent, obviously, right? That's how I met him, is the one feature that he has really helped even us build out was our call list. And the call list feature is, again, this feature that just helps you keep your notes, be able to go back and review your notes on the previous conversations that you've had. And then the most important thing, which is, it's not a required field, even though he's insisted on this, is then setting up the follow-up. Because what happens is sometimes people will have these great conversations and everything's going great. And you're like, well, they're probably not ready right now, but maybe in a few years or whatnot. If you don't have a follow-up date for that person in mind to contact, like, you've lost it. You've lost the relationship, you've lost that transaction.
Right.
And so he really works that that call list every single day. They've got hundreds of people that they call throughout the day, and he assigns calls to different team members. He does buy leads, and he distributes those leads through Wise Agent's lead distribution system. And the deal is, to be part of his team, you have to have 0 people on your call list at the end of the day for that day. So everyone on your call list needs to get a phone call. Every single person. And if you fail to do that, I think it's like 3 times and you're like off the team. He will kick you off of the team and take back all of those leads that he's given you. It is really important. Like, that's how serious he takes the calls and the follow-up. And so it grows exponentially, right? And that's why his team has grown exponentially, is because the more leads he has, the more people he has to kind of give that to. You can't call 700 people in one day. That's kind of hard for one person to manage. Right. But when you make those phone calls and you carry on those conversations and then set up the appropriate follow-up date and time, saying, I'm going to follow up and this is what I'm going to say in the follow-up. That's what our call list allows you to do. Then that's where that success begins to take place.
I get a raised eyebrow every now and then when I say this, but we're not in the real estate business. We are in the lead generation business. And that's what we need to be doing, is generating leads every day. Right. And then when we actually have one, then we go into lead conversion. But we're still not in the real estate business at that point. So,
right.
But we have to constantly generate leads.
Right.
So,
well, and hearing you describe your team leader, there's a couple things to talk about that both agents who are looking for a team or who want to be on a team could take away, as well as team leaders. There's components that a team needs to have to be successful. They have to have inspiration. They have to inspire each other. They have to have mentorship and kind of educating and teaching. But then when you were talking about the call list, they also have to have accountability. And the team leaders, they need a tool that can help them with accountability. Because if people are putting in the work and they're doing the actions, and they're not getting results, then you can coach to the skill and you can mentor up, right? But if they're not putting in the work, okay, that's where you start, because, okay, we not enough calls, not enough this, not enough. So then you can kind of really help move your team along. So it's dually important for the team leader and for the agent to have the technology and the tools and the processes that you're talking about to help them grow and be successful.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like you have to have a system. I'm an operations person. I love having, checklists of things and, processes in the way of doing, how am I going to accomplish this? I always look at things and I'm like, okay, what are the results? And my mind works kind of backwards, right? I'm always like, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to get out of this? What do I want to gain from this? And then I figure out what's the process, what will take me there, what will get me there. And if you don't give people the tools and the resources and the technology that is available out there for them in order to reach the goals, because and there's so many studies. I mean, I think it's you need to make 100 calls a day if you want to get a listing that week. You just do. I mean, that's just a number that has been kind of thrown out there. Some people say 75, some people say 120. I don't know. So I'm like, all right, I'll give you the median there, 100. You need to make phone calls, and then you need to keep, again, it goes back to that relationship building, but then it's the follow-up. If I just make those 100 calls today and then I don't schedule anything for later on, I wasted those 100 phone calls on nothing. I mean, there's not going to be any results on there, because how often are you going to get somebody that's going to be ready to buy that very moment that you decide to call? It's not a game of chance. You have to be there. And so it's that opportunity that you provide, saying, hey, you tell people, I'm going to call you. All right, well, Rich, I'll call you next week on the 25th at 10 o'clock. Does that sound like a good time for me to call you? It's really easy to say, and then just put it on your calendar and then just follow through with it and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. So right now in our industry, transactions are a little low at this given point when we're recording this, right?
Yeah.
And they're lower than what they have been in the last couple years. There's still transactions being done. Mm-hmm. People are still moving. They still have life events. They still need help. Pent-up demand. More people want to own than can own. There's so many scenarios that we keep talking about on the podcast, but you just returned from one of our state national conventions, one of the states here in the United States. You went to the convention, you're surrounded by agents, they're all hungry for the same thing, right?
Yeah. That was like the number one question thrown around. I was just in Florida at Florida Association of Realtors, where it was the number one question I heard was, where am I going to get, what are you guys doing to get your next transaction? Everyone was comparing notes, what are you doing? How'd you get that? And so people want to know, how are they going to get that next transaction? Because like you said, it has slowed down.
Okay, so let's give them some meat here, on the podcast. Okay, so what are some of the things you heard where people were saying, well, I did this and I got a transaction. I did that. What are you hearing, and especially from your customers?
Yeah. So what I hear a lot is people are having the conversations of, this is kind of where you're at right now. What their lifestyle is like. They could be kind of like me, where I'm not an empty nester yet, but I'm getting there. I'm like three years away from it. And where you start having those conversations of, figuring out where people are at in their life. Going back and looking at the transaction, when was the last time you transacted with this person if you've not kept up with it? So go through your transactions and say, who did I close with back 6-7 years ago that had teenagers back then that might be, interested in cashing out of some of their equity, downsizing, doing some of those moves. I mean, that's kind of, it's data. It's going to be a little bit more data driven. It will be data driven, where there is going to be things and other life circumstances happen as well. But when statistically speaking, when somebody has some equity to gain and you present that to them, and you should be the one that presents it to them, right? Saying hey, so you bought at this price, you could sell at this price. It looks like you have, very little mortgage or maybe no mortgage. And so now you can start having those conversations. And that's really where a lot of people are doing. Right. I also heard a lot from the data side of things, getting some information, who are the, who's got multiple properties where they might not have to buy after they sell, where they can just sell a property, cash out, and then go to an existing property that they already own. Those are people to kind of target. Now, are there millions of those people? No, right. But that's something that you could be doing, because not everyone is doing that. Not everyone is doing that.
Great idea. Yeah. Okay, so let's dig into a couple little tactics, though.
Yeah.
Texting, chat GPT, AI. How about, I'm just trying to feed you some nuggets here to go give some social media, video.
All of that stuff. Everyone should be using all of those things. So, and how do you use it? Whenever an agent is all I want to do is I want to, talk about AI and learn more about AI. I'm yes, it is really important. But I would just say don't get so hung up on the fact that it will do everything for you, because you still need to have your own eyes on there and read what it says. And make the edits that are appropriate. AI is still, it's still a newer thing. So don't just say hey, write me a description for this, for this property or whatnot. And I would say be a little bit more creative than just using AI to write a description about something. You could use a thesaurus for that, really. Right. So AI is a little bit more powerful than a thesaurus. What I would say using AI is giving it some data to then analyze it, right? So giving it something, and it could even be tell me, write a prompt or write an email on why someone would be moving from, Chicago, Illinois to the Phoenix area in in the winter months, what are some of the things that they would be looking for? How can I get somebody to understand the value of coming to Phoenix from another city? Right. Or what is so valuable about moving to this particular neighborhood? Like, what does this neighborhood have to offer? Or what are the things that are, giving people, giving some statistics on it within the context of analyzing it. So, this is what's been happening. Can you provide, can the chat provide like a trend of some sort? Reuse those. So don't make it so specific for one, property description or whatnot. Keep all of these things, and so then you can reuse them over and over again.
Right. Okay, so video marketing, texting, some of the automation that you have.
Yeah.
What should agents be doing right now?
Definitely texting. Texting has such a high open rate. I will say one thing about texting. What is, and I'm not sure like if you guys are familiar with this, but there is something out there called the 10DLC to ADP, which is a mouthful, but it's similar to the CAN-SPAM Act, that happened with email systems a while back. Where texting, cell phone providers are now kind of cracking down on making sure that there is, they're limiting spamming. And so when you're going to be sending out a text message through Wise Agent, you do have to register your, your brand. You have to register yourself and your phone number, so you can be on this marketing registration list, where your messages will go through. Because as of August 31st, messages will not be able to go out unless you're registered. So that's one thing to note. Two, once you are approved and everything else goes through, it's really important that your text messages are sent out to people, obviously, that and the messages are appropriate to them, and you're not spamming, right? You're not asking for credit card numbers and social security numbers and all that. But then also give yourself ample time to respond. I see this all the time where people send out, 200 text messages, because you can do that really quickly. I think it's up to 250 text messages within however long it takes you to type out that one message. They click on send, and then they're like, okay, now I'm going to go on this appointment. Well, people will respond to those text messages within you get an 80% response rate within 15 minutes of those texts. So if you're sending out 250 text messages, you're going to get about 100 some people responding to you within 15 minutes. Do you have the time and the bandwidth to reply back to all of them? Right. So make sure you have that infrastructure ready, and you're prepared for those replies. Right. So that's a pretty big thing. As far as video, include video. Video helps so much because people can see your face. They can hear your excitement, your enthusiasm. If you're going to be showing, a property of some sort, maybe you have that coveted listing, you want to show that off. People want to see that. Video does really well in both email and texting. So utilize those things. They're really easy, and it doesn't cost anything for you to take a video with your phone. It doesn't have to be super professional. You don't have to hire a videographer for a 40-second video. It's just a 40-second video in text. So don't go too crazy. If you're doing an intro video of yourself and sending that off, and you're doing that maybe in an email, so maybe it's a little bit longer, I tell people, post it on YouTube. Let them find you everywhere. It should be like YouTube, it's free to upload there, and then you can send that in an email really easily. You can also see some of the analytics there on how many people are clicking on that link. So that's really nice to be able to see if you're sending out an email to 2,500 people, and it has a video embedded in there, how many clicks are you getting on that video? If you see you have a really high number, well, that's going to really tell you you should be doing more videos.
Right.
And do the videos even if you think that your voice is not that great and you don't look that great and you need to color your hair and do all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Do it anyways. You'll be fine. You'll get better as it goes on.
Right. Okay, so right now there is according to some sources, 4.5 million unit shortage. Some sources, 6.5 million unit shortage. There is a host of our population, the millennials, the younger generation than the millennials that are looking to buy. There's a lot of people searching for homes. Can you talk about some things that agents could be doing right now to help buyers? That, what should agents be doing right now to generate business by helping buyers? Like, your websites, your search, the whole thing, all of that.
Yeah, so I know a lot of MLSs out there will be able to give you a dynamic link for a search, right? So I know Armless will give you a dynamic link. You could say, I live in Fountain Hills, so you could say in 85268, I want to find every 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, in this price range, right? It'll give you a link. You can send it out automatically even through the MLS, which is fine to do. But I'll say this, is that it goes out through the MLS. You don't really get a lot of analytics. You don't get a lot of response. Might not get a response from that. You want to maybe add to it. It doesn't always look the most prettiest thing on the planet. I've gotten a lot of those emails. So what I would say is take that dynamic link. If you know that there's a buyer in a particular, searching in a particular area, and then embed that into your emails. So you should have in every message that you send out, even if it's, hey, I know that you're big into golf, and did you watch that golf match or whatever it's called, right? Have a call to action. Like, do you want to schedule something with me? Do you want to search for homes? Have some call to actions, and it could be more than one, where you're allowing them to click on a button to then view the searches of whatever you've set up, or contact you, schedule an appointment, do whatever it is. But you need to have call to actions to be able for your prospective buyers to be reaching out to you. Not just what is their wish list, even though you should have that as well, but also how can they schedule an appointment with you really easily. I would definitely be using that.
So I guess that's what I'm trying to dig into a little bit. I'm thinking about, I know there are some agents listening to this podcast right now. And Rich, I know you know of some that are successful, or they've been successful in the past, but they've never really implemented technology to help them do the things we're talking about, like automating their business. And so I guess I'm trying to dig into, where do they start? How do they start? What do they do? What do they set up? So website, these call to action pages, that can just help, because you said it, we're in the lead generation business. You can't be in the lead generation without having something that does lead capture. Right. So they're posting on social, but they might not be capturing leads that they could be capturing because they're just not doing that little bit more where they tie it to something that captures it, organizes it, engages it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to dig for. Real action items that agents should listen to this today and go do. Yeah.
So definitely creating a landing page that will talk about, something like, are you interested in buying a home right now? Posting that in on social. So if you have, if you have a lot of followers on your personal, Facebook account, post it there. If you have a business page, post it in there too, even though you don't have the same number of followers. It's okay to post it in both places, but then also join Facebook groups that are about, home buying and searching and whatnot. Create a landing page where someone can come in and say, yeah, I'm interested in buying a house, or I'm interested in, talking to somebody and seeing like, what can I buy? I don't even know what I can buy. And then have them fill out a form with their contact information. And that's something that they can do really easily within Wise Agent, and they can really easily share that to Facebook. They could even, and that's all free, right? That's included. You get a free landing page within your Wise Agent account. And then posting on Facebook is free. So that won't cost you anything. If you want to take it to that next level, then I would say create a digital ad. And that's where it is a paid advertisement that you would be doing, but you would pay for either a Google or Facebook ad. You could run both of them simultaneously. And then you could do that for as little as $50 a week, where you're running ads and you're targeting a particular zip code or an area. You can even do a city. And you could have, just sold, even though you didn't sell the property, but you could say 123 Main Street just sold for this amount of money, and you could target that city and find people that are looking for something that was similar to that, and really entice them into reaching out to you. And then that ad would then be, would take them, once they click on find out more, whatever their call to action is, would then take them to a landing page where the prospect would then fill out the form and then get an auto response back from you. And this is all done through Wise Agent, really seamlessly, really easily. That whole setup from the digital ad side won't take you more than 15 minutes to do. The longest thing would be probably figuring out which picture to use, because even the text, we help you with that. So the pictures are usually the hardest thing to figure out which one you want to use as the main image. But yeah, that's really easy to do.
Great.
So I've got a question.
Yeah.
The agent CRM space is crowded with many decent products. What's different with Wise Agent? Why, as an agent, why would I want to use Wise Agent over anything else out there? You guys,
Yeah.
I know you have some little niches in the market where you really excel, and our audience would like to hear about that.
Yeah. So a few things. One, it's our price point. If you're going to be, thinking about, hey, the market's slowing down a little bit, I need to save some money, but I still want to keep this powerful system behind me running my business, for under $40 a month, you can do that with Wise Agent. Okay, so that's a big one right there off the bat. The second thing is our support and our training. My specialty, my background is in technology, and I use a lot of different technologies out there, even outside of the real estate space. And I tell people all the time, agents and brokers and team leads, if a technology is offering you free and unlimited support and you are not taking advantage of it, you are doing it wrong. You have to, and you should, because the support and the training staff that we have here is going to listen to whatever it is that you have going on. Because on this podcast, there's probably some of you listening right now and you're like, gosh, I wonder about this. I wonder if it can do this. Well, call our support and tell them what your wish list is, and they will tell you how to do what it is that you want to do. Again, tell them what end result you want to have, and they will tell you the steps that you have to take. And they will do that over a Zoom, over a phone call. Or if you're like, I don't want to talk to you, can you just send me a video? They will just customize a video for you and send it off to you so you can watch it.
Wow.
Over and over again.
That's actually a really good insight right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big thing. Training. I know a lot of people in this industry. There's some that are really out there and they love talking, and and others that shy away from all of that. When you're in a training session, ask the questions
and they'll just click buttons until they get it done. You know, where we're going to overanalyze it, you know, think about it for a while, have a cup of coffee, you know, or a glass of wine, and go, okay, now what? You know, oh, I'm just going to do it tomorrow. And we just need to get over that and do it.
Yes, and that's, I guess, in a way what I'm driving for today on the podcast. My aha with that agent the other day was, you know, the MLS is much more complicated than Wise Agent. And yet Wise Agent is much more powerful and impactful, you know, can be to an agent's business.
Yeah.
Because it's the gasoline in the car engine.
Oh, I like that.
It's the MLS is structure, and it's the, you know, and it's thing that everybody uses, but you want to put some gas in your tank, you know. Wise Agent is easy to use. The other thing, it's appealing. Like I often, agents will ask me, and I'll say, go do a demo. Just go do a demo with the team and have them walk you through it. And it's appealing, and it's easy, and it's got the little, it's got goal setting. And I can say, I want to make this much money this year. So, okay, well then that means my average price point is this. So I have to do this many transactions. And okay, so if half of those are buyers and half of those are sellers, then I can do this. And
well, that's starting to sound like accountability, Todd.
It is, but it can walk you. Yes, it is. It is. But I guess that's my point. I'm trying to challenge everyone. Wise Agent is easy to use and powerful, and they have a great support staff. And you have this great tool sitting here, and use it. And if you're not, it doesn't matter, you know, what you use something as well, right?
Use something that you will use.
Right.
The most powerful CRM out there is the one that you will use.
Yeah.
So get one that's simple to use.
Yeah.
And use the heck out of it.
And that's the thing, like for us, when we're designing and implementing new functionalities and features into Wise Agent, there's three things that we look at, right? Is the simplicity factor. Like, do I have to read a bunch of instructions and, you know, try to figure out this? Like, nobody wants to do that. Not even me. Like, I don't want to do it. So when we kind of come up with something new, which we do pretty frequently, is it has to be simple. So it has to have something clear, you know, just a clear kind of action button there. But then it also has to be really powerful. So there has to be things like we have a bunch of automation within Wise Agent, because there's things in there that need to get done, right? And when you're going through, you know, a new prospect, when you have a transaction, any of these things, like there are a lot of things that you have to do sometimes, but you don't always have to be the one that does those things, right? There could be, you know, some of the follow-ups, some of the things you talked about, drip campaigns, Todd. Like there can be times where you're just like, I need to get some of this content out there, but you don't have to write it all yourself. So you can use the AI for that. You don't have to be the one that sits there and presses the send button every first of the month to do all that, right? That could just be our drip campaign. You just set it up, you put the people in there that you want to have that drip campaign, and just do it and let that system work for you while you're still doing other things and taking care of your business. So leverage that technology, and don't be afraid of it. But if you are afraid of it, it's okay. Our support staff can help you, and our trainers can help you through it.
Right. So that's where, I guess, going back to how we started today, talking about your story about that new agent, I did the math in my head. There are 12 already this year, halfway through the year. Multiply that out, that's 24 transactions, $300,000, you know, average price or whatever. You're looking at $250,000 in gross commission income, right?
Yeah.
And I know that consumers think all of that goes in our pocket. No, it doesn't, because we're running a business and we have business expenses. But that's a healthy business by focusing on the right things and doing the right things. And I guess my urgency is that the opportunity is there. And I just want to urge you agents to engage your database, build something, and put it to work for you and grow your business. And a great way to do that is to get with Eleni's team, talk to them, do a demo, explore it, learn all the features. So where does an agent go to start? An agent's listening today. I like what I hear. Yeah, you've inspired me. I want to go I want to go do this. I want to go be like that agent 3 years from now or 2 years from now. I want to be in their same spot.
Yeah. And we would love that, because the agent's success is our success. I mean, that's how we see it. And so I would say, first and foremost, go to wiseagent.com/HomeSmart to get and sign up for your free trial. So just click on that sign up free and fill out that form, and you get, you get a free trial. That is your first way. And throughout that process, throughout that sign up process, there's going to be a part that's going to ask you to complete an onboarding session. This is really important. Again, I talked a lot about, the support that we have and the training, and how much you should leverage that. The onboarding is really important, because there's nothing worse than having a system that is not set up for you to use. In order for you to use Wise Agent, you got to set up your profile. You have to set up your email signature. You have to add contacts. And a lot of times, the adding of contacts, like, Todd, you had mentioned, like maybe you have triplicates on your phone and whatnot. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to be different. You get this one-on-one getting started session where you talk to someone from our team and you say, hey, so I have most of my contacts are in my Google account, or they're all in my Google account, or they're all in my MLS, or they're all here, or there, wherever, or I don't know where they are. They will direct you and guide you into getting everything in that one central location, which would be your Wise Agent account. Right. So it's really important you do that. And let's say there's some of you out there that are like, I never got that. It's okay. You can still schedule it, because if you're like, oh, I'm only just adding people as I have right now, as I get them in, you can go to wiseagent.com/schedule, and you'll be able to schedule an appointment with someone from our team to either want to see a demo, and you're like, I'm not ready to sign up for the free trial, I just want to see what she's talking about, if she's for real. That's all right. I'm okay with you guys doing a demo. So go there and sign up for one of our demos, and that'll be a one-on-one demo that you get to see if this is going to work for you, and ask questions. Let us know how you're running the business. This time that we do when we do these demos, that's your time. And we want to make sure that we're showcasing things that you need. Maybe you're lacking in some of your marketing and you want to know a little bit more about the marketing, or you need some organization done. They'll help you through that. So,
right. So I just did what you were talking about. I just went right there to the, wiseagent.com/HomeSmart. And I think I just found the headline to this episode of the podcast: generate more leads, build relationships, and close more deals. And that's what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. And that's right there on the landing page, wiseagent.com/HomeSmart. Generate leads, build relationships, and close more deals. And underneath it, it's got the 14-day trial. It's got the see a demo. It's got the sign up for free. You scroll down a little bit, it says what you get: lead generation, real estate content, contact management and automation. There's team features, and then, view more features. I'm sure there's a whole host there. But I guess going back real quick, tell us a little bit about the 14-day free trial.
Yeah, so the 14 days, that's the critical time for you to go in there and set things up. Send out an email. If you're like, gosh, I don't know what to say, we got you covered even there, even if you're not even comfortable using the AI tools yet, even though those are really easy to use. You could send out a newsletter. You can send out a newsletter. We write those for you. We write them in English. We write them in Spanish. We also write one for the Canadian market, where you can just go in there and you can preview the newsletter, edit it however you want. If you need to edit it, you don't necessarily have to. And then you save that, and then you select the contacts that you want to send that newsletter to and send it off. I always tell people, we have a send a test email. Tell people, send a test email to yourself. Make sure that everything is looking good if you change out any images and whatnot. But then send that out, even if you just send it out to a few people, a few key people in your sphere, that's okay. Send that out to them and let them know that this is going to be a platform that you're going to be sending out emails from, for them to, to look up for your monthly emails.
Send it out to your family. Send it out to your family. They'll help you.
Yeah.
They'll give you the feedback. And, I just pressed another button here on the landing page, a mobile web app. Can you talk a little bit how this integrates? with the
Yeah.
phone and the mobile app?
I'm on the road a lot. And one of the things is that if you're doing any kind of lead generation, and that means using any of our landing pages, maybe you're maybe you're purchasing leads from one of the portals, maybe you're just getting leads in from your website. You want to make sure that those are all coming into your CRM. And then what happens is you can get notified and then send text messages. When a text message is sent through Wise Agent, it will send you a link where you can reply back. So you don't reply from your actual phone number, it's still a masked number. And that will open up the mobile application for Wise Agent, where then you can send out, your messages from, you can view their notes, you can add people to the call list, add appointments, you can do all sorts of things, but that's something that you can also do straight from your phone.
That's awesome. That's great. So, Rich, what do you think?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just I love everything that you talked about from a standpoint of how powerful this is, but how easy it is. But I go back to the stories you told at the beginning. Yeah. The new agent, the team leader taking his business to the next level. Whoever you are that's listening, if you want to take your business to the next level, take a look at some of these technology services that can really help you grow your business.
And don't be afraid to punch the buttons.
Right.
Jump in. Try it out.
Action.
Take it for a test drive.
Yep. And then you automate some of this, and then a couple years later, you're reaping the rewards of automated marketing, and then you're like, why didn't I do that sooner?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, how many times, Eleni, times have you heard that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to automate things, or else you're never going to grow, because then your business is going to solely rely on you to do everything, that you will never have that extra time that it takes to grow it into a bigger team, or even start a team. So you have to have those systems and processes in place so you can take your business to that next level. And that's where that automation comes into place a lot too. So.
Right. So there's also a couple other contact forms. I think you have a phone number if someone needs to call. Can you tell everyone who's listening the phone number and an email address if they want to reach out that way?
Yes. So if they want to call us, we have 24/7 support. They can call us at 480-836-0345. They can send us an email at help@wiseagent.com. They can go to their contact us form and fill out this form, and we will reach out to them however they prefer. So we are always available. We're on social media. We have our Facebook. We have a Facebook community, so you can join that as well and hear from other people that are using the platform and what they're doing for some of their successes. So you can leverage that. We're on Instagram. We're on everything. So our team is covered all over on social.
So you were in your initial story, you're talking about that agent, and they were listening to podcasts, they were listening to webinars.
Yep.
Where do the agents find these webinars? I just clicked into contact, and then you have like a section with live classes on demand. Is the on demand section that you were talking about?
Yeah.
So this person?
Yeah, so the on-demand classes those have different, they have like contact management training. They have different trainings in there. We have one on marketing tools, and then they have something that's even more specific than just like all of our marketing tools. They'll just do, how do you create a newsletter and a flyer? How to send out emails and text messages. So we have how to create drip campaigns. So those are our classes. But for the webinar and podcast that I host, they go to wiseagent.com/podcast. That's where they'll be able to find that. And that's where I bring in industry guests, and we talk about whatever we talk about. And so I know I have one coming up soon. We're going to be talking about building a community and, generating leads from building a community of an online community. So that's going to be something. So like last time I did a webinar, my guest was Jared White from Contra Costa Association of Realtors. And, traveling around, I get to meet really cool people, get to meet a lot of people in the industry that have a lot of things to share. And and they share a lot of tips, just like what we're doing here. I got to have you back on, Todd.
Love that. We would love that.
Yeah.
We would love
And,
that.
and have
So,
you on, Rich, too. So love
great.
that.
Love to.
all right. Well, there you have it, everyone. That's been a wonderful episode here today on the Real Estate Podcast. You know, generating leads, building relationships, closing more transactions. And Eleni just gave us a whole host of ideas about how to actually go do that. So I urge you,
Yep.
take some of what you heard today, put it to action, go do it, and then send us a message. Let us know how it worked for you.
Yeah.
Give feedback to Eleni. She loves hearing
I
those
love that.
stories, those success stories, and maybe you can be an agent that we tell your story someday.
Oh, that would be
About how
fun.
much-
Let's do that.
How much business you generated, right?
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. My email is always public. It's eleni@wiseagent.com. You can email me and let me know. I mean, you know, the good and the bad. I like hearing both sides because that's how we just get better. So
Right. Well, Eleni Sommerschield, thank you very much for being here with us today, the Chief Operating Officer for Wise Agent. And please give Brandon Wise a hello from us over here at the Real Estate Podcast.
Thank you, Eleni.
Tell him thank you.
Thanks,
Tell the
Rich.
whole team thank you.
Thanks,
And
guys.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Real Estate Podcast, and we hope to see you back on future episodes.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Like what you're hearing on The Real Estate? Tell your friends about us. Tell them to check out all of our episodes on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. And don't forget to send any topics you want us to tackle to therealestate@homesmart.com.